What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It is CTO, and today I wanted to just kind of go over some things that I do inside games to not get super countered too often when I'm comboing, how I kind of change up my timings, and hopefully that these can help you guys that are getting super countered very often and just want to be able to combo. First things first, I want to say that I am by no means a pro at this game. This is just what I do inside of games to stop people from being able to catch on to my timings, to stop them from being able to super counter. Super counter is pretty easy to get in this game compared to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, as far as I've heard. Like, I've talked to a lot of people who've played Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and they do say that super counter is a little easier to get in this game. So that being the case, I feel like as we get better and better, people are only going to get better and better at using it, and there's going to be a need to not let people catch on to your timing so that you can escape Vanish Wars and stuff like that. That being said, let's hop into it. So first thing I like to do is I like to practice in training mode. I know a lot of people don't really like the training mode in this game. I think it's pretty decent for what it is. Like, it's not the best, obviously, for sure, but it's pretty decent for what it is. I think it does the job. First thing I like to do is set the computer to the smash attacks and follow-up option here, because they do like to super counter and they do like to vanish a lot of your heavy attack or your heavy smashes or heavy finishes and ki cannons and stuff like that. When you do set him to these options here, you'll see if I go ahead and start attacking him, he turns into a super counter monster. And then you'll also see that if I go for his smash attacks, periodically he will vanish them as often as he can. He will try to vanish them. So I think this is a pretty good option to practice against super counter and also practice against vanish, because if you hold your heavy attacks too long, the CPU will vanish, and if you do too many rush strings, the CPU will super counter. So it kind of gives you like not really the same feel as somebody who's really good at super countering inside the game, but it keeps you always aware of that could happen to you while you're practicing. So outside of that, what else can you do to practice against super counter or to get around super counter? One thing I would say is adding a slight bit of delay onto your rush strings. What I mean by that is every character has these rush strings here, like a flying kick, a rolling hammer, a heavy finish, or a ki cannon. You can add a slight bit of delay to these to make it harder for the enemy to super counter you when you are going for rush strings. What you can do while comboing them instead is, instead of going for something like this where you just do it really fast, like you're rolling hammer really quickly, you can add a little bit of delay to it, just so that it's a little bit harder for them to super counter it, because it's a timing difference between your rush chains and the heavy attack that comes out after the rush chain. So the rush chains come out fast, and then the heavy attack comes out a little bit slower. Something like that will throw off people's timings. Same thing with the ki cannon. Something like that throws off people's timings quite a bit. Like, trust me, it actually really does. Like, there's so many times where I fight somebody that is very good at super countering, and just by adding a slight bit of delay to my lift strike, a slight bit of delay to my grand slashes, a slight bit of delay to my ki cannons and heavy finishes, I'm able to get around it a lot easier, because they're not able to necessarily guess, or just not necessarily guessing, because if you're doing everything really quick, let's say I do a really fast combo here, right? Like, something like this is very super counterable, because it's fast. Like, it's fast. The rhythm is the same no matter what. Something like that is like very super counterable, because the rhythm is the same no matter what. It's fast. Like, they can just keep pressing up square, and they don't necessarily have to watch when they're getting hit, because they know when they're going to get hit. They know that you're just pressing square fast, and they're going to get hit repeatedly, so they might as well just keep pressing up square, and then eventually they'll get lucky and actually get the super counter. But if you add delay to your hits, it's a lot harder for them to actually get the super counter, because at this point here, they need to get significantly more lucky to get the super counter after just mashing it and not paying attention to when they're getting hit. This same tip applies to your rush attacks as well. So these rush strings here, adding delay to these and not necessarily doing them fast will help you with getting around super counter as well. And don't worry, you guys, even if you add delay to the rush string, you can still get the two rush string combo You just gotta be a bit faster on the step in, but you can still delay your rush string and get your second rush string. No, it's a timing thing for every character. So for SSJ3 Goku, for example, it's a lot harder to do that delay because you'll see if I delay a little bit too long, the third hit doesn't come out. That's because SSJ3 Goku's rush string is very, very fast. So that first rush string is extremely fast, and then the second one is very, very slow. So you'll see here if I go for the second one, I can delay that a lot more than I can delay the first one. So you have to get used to your character's rush strings and definitely go into practice and get used to how much you can delay it here. So for these first 3 hits on SSJ3 Goku, I pretty much have to put these out very, very fast. So I go for a lot more of like ones and then go for my combo after I kind of get them confirmed. Like once I kind of get them around super countering here, I start going more for my combos. Because at this point here, they may give up on the super counter. If they may try to just vanish instead. Like the main thing is just getting them to open up. Once you start hitting them a lot more, like once you start getting past these first few hits, I think it's a lot harder for them to super counter, especially if you don't go for this move here. Like this Russian attack is actually very super counterable, especially if they're really good. So instead of going for something like that, you can go for something like this to catch people off guard as well. And basically what that is just you go for your 5 rush attacks, and instead of going for your step in and then square, you go for step in and then triangle instead. And every character has a different step in triangle. Gohan's is a heavy finish. Goku's is going to be a rolling hammer. So if I do like Goku's full 5 rush strings, it's a rolling hammer. And then every character has their, they can do their 5 into step in and grand slash, or they can do their 5 into step in and lift strike. So mixing up and not going for the Russian attack with the square every time and instead going for triangle is a good way to mix up as well. If you're able to get past them and go for this move here, you can do something like that to just throw off their timings. And again, you can add delay onto those as well to make it harder for them to super counter. So for example, if I go for Goku's 5 attack, I can add some delay onto that to get them to be able to open up even more. Something like that. And by also adding a slight bit of delay, you can also break guards as well. So let's say, for example, somebody is just holding R1 and then trying to time their super counters as well by pressing up square. Now, when I mean a slight bit of delay, I mean for Ki Cannon specifically, moves like Ki Cannon do actually break guard. Normally, if you fully charge Ki Cannon, it knocks them back away. But you can actually break guards if you hold a slight, give it a slight delay. Not too much of a delay, just a slight delay. And then you're able to break guards that way. You can do it with heavy finish and rolling hammer as well. But for heavy finish and rolling hammer, you do have to charge the move all the way. And you're able to break guards. So this is a good way if you're in front of somebody, if you do have a move like Ki Cannon on one of like your first rush strings, or if you do have a move like a heavy finish on your first rush string or rolling hammer, you can delay that to be able to break people's guards and also get around super counter as well. Because if you do this same type of delay, you still are able to combo after it. So something like this, you can still combo after it, even if you do add that little bit of delay, and it gets around super counter and you're still able to combo around it. It gets around guard and you're still able to combo off of it. So adding delay, whether it's a slight bit of delay for Ki Cannon or whether it's a full long charge for heavy finish, if you want to break their guard. If you don't need to break their guard, then you can do a slight hold for heavy finish as well, just to throw off their timing. Either a slight hold or fully holding your mash attacks is a lot better than it normally would be. Again, nothing is true or guaranteed in this game, so if somebody is on point, they can vanish. If you add too much delay and give them too much time to react to it, like if I go ahead and hold this all the way, they can definitely react to that and vanish. If they hold R1, they can definitely vanish. So you don't necessarily want to add a long delay all the time, but adding just different delays to your moves and to your smash attacks is a great way of getting around super counter. Going forward from here, I'm going to use a term called CC. That basically means crowd control. It just basically means like putting them in an animation where they can't act. Another good way to get around super counter is delaying when you attack after heading CC. So what I mean by this is, let's say for example you do a grand slash. You see how long you have to actually confirm that move there? You have until they actually do this full flip animation for you to hit them with another move that will CC them. If you, let's say, do this, something like that is very, very easy to super counter because they're getting hit repeatedly. So they can just time when you're going to hit them, and they can very much just super counter that. Now, if you were to, let's say, for example, do this, wait a little bit, and then go in, that something like that would be a little bit more difficult for them to super counter, just because the timing of when they're getting hit is a lot different. Same thing with your heavy finishes as well. You can do the same thing. So heavy finish, wait a little bit, and then go in and attack. And now we're gonna add a little bit extra layer of waiting. So when you hit somebody with this, instead of waiting, throw some ki blasts, and then go ahead and attack again. What the ki blast will do is it'll obscure their vision just a little bit so that when you're going to attack them again, they may not actually see it coming. If you time it properly, it actually does combo, something like that. They won't necessarily be able to turn around. If you time it poorly, if they're holding guard, they will definitely be able to turn around. So if you time it right, you definitely can go ahead and just ki blast and attack after that. So something like this. This will definitely throw off their timings as well. You can throw more ki blasts if you want, depending on the CC you get. Something like Grand Slash you can throw quite a bit of ki blast before actually needed to confirm it. Or you can just throw one. Same thing with this. You can just throw one if you want to. Same thing with your heavy finish. You can just throw one if you want, and then go in to confirm the combo. And you're just throwing the ki blast just to obscure their vision a little bit, so that when you attack them again, it just throws off their timing. That slight extra bit of throwing off their timing, just so that you don't get super countered again. And then from there you can go into your lift strike or grand slash, or if you have a rolling hammer or heavy finish on your first rush chain or something like that, you can do that as well. Another tip I actually have for getting around super counter is doing smash attacks to reset CC. So what I mean by that is these moves here, you can actually do one of each of these moves in a combo without it dropping. So if I take them off of guard, let's say I do up smash, down smash, left smash, right smash, and then you see how that all combos basically. And if I do another smash attack again of the same direction, it drops. But you see how all of that comboed? If I do 2 ups, it drops. If I do 2 downs, it drops. 2 lefts, it drops. And then again, 2 rights, it drops. But see how the smash attacks combo? You can actually use the smash attacks like that, and this is just me doing a slight hold, a slight delay. You can actually use those smash attacks to get around the CC animation. So let's say, for example, you hit somebody with a move like this. You can do a smash attack to knock them out of that animation, put them right back into another CC animation. So you do a grand slash down, and then you can do a wait a little bit, and then go back in for your attack. This, like, it seems like it's just a little tiny bit of nothing, right? Like it seems like you're just doing a smash attack, and then you're just going in and attacking again. But what you're doing is you're putting them in another animation where their player cannot act. For example, if I put him on guard, and then I do that same combo, see how long it takes for him to actually have to turn around before he can guard again? Like if I was to do this, can you imagine how much harder it would be for somebody to super counter that than you're doing this? Or not even just doing that, doing something like this. Like, you know what I mean? Just going in heavy, boom, 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 boom. Like, can you just imagine how much easier it is for somebody to super counter that? Or even just this. Now, if I had to like put it all together in a combo, it would look something like maybe like this. Like I would do like maybe like 1-2 into oh, that was 3. I would do maybe like 1-2 into lift, and a smash, a key blast into grand, reset, going this way, like, you know what I mean? Something like that could be a good opener. Like the most thing is you want to get them to give up on the super counter. Like you want to make the opponent feel like super countering you may be a waste of time, and they maybe should just focus on trying to vanish. And the best way to do that is just being unpredictable in your strings, using those tips that I kind of gave you earlier, especially this heavy attack resetting the CC string. I think this is actually a really good tip, to be honest. I went for the same heavy attack twice, so it reset. But I think this is actually a really good tip in my opinion, because heavy attacks, though, these type of heavy attacks are actually extremely good in my opinion. Again, like for example, if we go ahead and he has 0 blast docks and I go ahead and set him to perception, you can actually use this to break perception too. Like if you have 0 blast docks, game just opened up, it's in neutral, if I can get him to do perception. That's basically it for like all the tips that I have for getting around super counter. I think that these will definitely help you guys, in my opinion, because being unpredictable is like the only way to really get around it, especially considering that you can kind of get it very easily in this game. You want to be as unpredictable as possible, and I think that these are some of the best ways to be as unpredictable while still being able to potentially combo your opponent. Let me know how y'all feel about that in the comment section. And as always, if y'all enjoyed the video or if these tips actually did help you guys out, drop me a like or a sub. It would definitely help out the channel tremendously. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.